Ah. Hey everyone, it's me, Hunter. So I just got back from seeing the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie with my friends. Yeah, pretty fun times. It's Thursday as I'm recording this, and I think we got to see it a day early. I don't know. It's December 5th, right? But yeah. So let's. Okay, I decided to re-record this the next day because my thoughts were really disoriented at 10:30 p.m. unsurprisingly. Basic plot: the movie starts out with a scene from Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, the second location, the FNAF 2 location, back in like 1982, I believe it said. And during our opening cutscene, there was actually one of the shots was like a bunch of kids playing arcade machines, and one of them was a reference to Five Nights at Candy's. That's pretty cool. We all caught that. You see this little kid. Her name is Charlotte. Charlotte, the same Charlotte who in the games is the marionette, and she's just sitting there at like the marionette stage, which they have a stage now, and they come out from like this platform. And I was thinking, wait, where's the music box? But there actually is a music box, it's just underneath. And it's established that she just is pretty like antisocial, and she just waits for the marionette to come. And this time around, the marionette, it has this ability to like roam around and apparently control the other toy animatronics, which is kind of funny but weird. She sees another kid being lured to a back room by William Afton. She sees that, right, getting lured to the back, and she goes around to the adults at the pizzeria, and she says, "Hey, you gotta help me," instead of, "Hey, there's a kid back there." She says, she just is going like, "Hey, you gotta help me." But then all the adults are ignoring her in like the worst dialogue I've ever heard. So she goes back there herself because she's the hero of this. So she sees old Billy Afton in the back cleaning like his hands or something, because he didn't actually kill the kid yet, he just knocked him out. So she sneaks in there, takes him, and then runs back out to an exit, which the exit is for some reason actually behind the curtains of the marionette stage. It's a scene of where, you know, he almost catches her, but then we see her walk out from her perspective, walk out the stage, and she's holding the kid in her arms, and she walks over, she sets him down, and then she like just does this like scream. She just like yells out of like sheer adrenaline and agony before she slumps over, and then we see that she's been stabbed in the back several times. She dies, and yeah, she possesses the marionette, because the marionette comes out and literally cradles the fucking the dead kid. Like, oh, okay, this is new. I don't know how long between the first and second one, but Vanessa survived being stabbed by her father, but now she has to cope with daddy issues, which I guess they'll get into in the third movie, because Mike tells her on a definitely not a date, where he was just munching on garlic bread. He tells her, you know, face your fears and your dreams, and she tries that later in the movie. But yeah, it's a scare and all, but like, you know, they don't really go into that because William isn't physically here, and they're setting him up for the third movie, obviously. It's supposed to be FNAF 3. So apparently, after the events of the first movie, there's some Faz Fest going on, some shit with that. It's apparently because of Aunt Jane, which I don't know if, like, her name is mentioned once, and I don't know if she survived from when she was knocked out by Golden Freddy in the last movie, but I don't know. So all the kids are obsessed with it, but Abby's robotics teacher, which, by the way, me and my friends, we didn't know what age Abby was, because, like, you know, she goes to school and there's a bunch of young kids, but like there's a robotics club, so it's like, what is this, middle school or something? Or at least for us, because I went to elementary school, it didn't really have like, well, it did, it's just not as sophisticated as robotics club or some shit. I don't think so. And so we're like, okay, is she 12 or something? But no, thankfully, pretty early on, she so kindly lets us know that she is 11 years old. So so nice. Anyways, her teacher's being a dick to her for some fucking reason, and there's this really funny line where it's like, why do you always have to be a dick, Mr. whatever the fuck his name is? So Abby finds out about the second location, the FNAF 2 location, and, you know, because she brought back a Faz talk from the first place that was apparently just there. And also during the scene where they picked it up, they had a funny reference to that one guy that beatboxed the Torador March. But yeah, she goes to the second location, meets Toy Chica, who pretends to be her friend. Eventually, she's lured back again, and Toy Chica tells her, you have to help us with something. You have to enter the code to make it so we can all leave this place. But Vanessa's also in the building at the same time, and she gets trapped by Charlotte, who's still haunting the halls, who's still haunting the prize box and the marionette. And there's a scene earlier where like some paranormal teen, or some like teen paranormal ghost catchers, they show up to the FNAF 2 location at night, being escorted by Mike, a different Mike. Trust me, we'll get to him. But yeah, it's a scene where, you know, we explore the second place, and for some reason they have a river ride in there, which I'm just thinking like, bro, that was probably really expensive, and, you know, probably a bunch of health and safety concerns, especially now because one of the characters, all three of the teens, they basically just go there to die, like the crooks, like the 4 crooks in the FNAF 1 movie. One of them falls in the cancer water, and yeah. But one of them, a teenage girl, she dies to the marionette, and they have this thing where the whole thing is that Charlotte is the only vengeful spirit. There's no dead kids in the toy animatronics, but because she's the puppet, she is puppeteering all the other ones, which I think is honestly like a really smart idea. That would actually have worked in the second game. I get that it's a prequel, but it would have actually worked. Because I don't know if there's actually more dead kids in the toy animatronics or in the withered animatronics. I don't think we know. I don't remember. I don't watch enough Matt Pat because he's retired now. But yeah, and they have this thing where like Charlotte is possessing the victims of whom she kills, but she's not like the puppet herself. She's like this mummified corpse version of the victim with like the strings, with like the tear strings in the eyes, and it looks kind of weird. And one of my friends brought up that it would have been like way more cool and menacing if it was just like the marionette mask. Like that would have been way better if we saw more of just that, but we don't. So yeah, Vanessa's forced to tell them the code, so Abby punches it in, and now all the toy animatronics are free to go. And here's the thing. Charlotte is not actually looking for William Afton to murder. She's looking for all the adults of the place who, to be fair, they were heavily negligent and like, kid, go fuck yourself, which is fair, but like, okay. It's like, the means of which, it's like pretty fucked up. So yeah, and the whole conflict is derived from Michael finding out about this too through Henry, the father of Charlotte. And yeah, he'll probably most definitely make it in the third movie, and we are going to be so hyped for the connection terminated for the connection terminated paragraph, or copy pasta, whatever. So the idea is Vanessa's hunting down the animatronics, trying to stop them, while Mike is at the location in the office, you know, trying to track down where the toy animatronics are. And I'm gonna take the time to say that like all the animatronics, they look really clean. Like the toy animatronics, and especially the withers. Like the withered animatronics in the original game, they were like the best designs out of the entirety of FNAF. Let's just be honest. And in real action, they look fucking amazing. Like, damn. That first scene when Mike, like, you know, breaks into the second location through the window, he like tumbles about, and then he entered into the parts and service room where they're all just there, lifeless, broken. It's like, damn. And the segment where Mike is in the office is like the closest thing to gameplay. The last movie, the animatronics weren't a threat until like the third act. But now they are. And I will admit, it's kind of stupid how it plays out. Because, okay, before Vanessa leaves to track them down, they do a funny joke where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, how do I close the doors? Mike asks. And she's like, there are no doors. And then the joke is that, like, you know, one of them is coming. Oh, before that, Balloon Boy is there. And Mike literally beheads Balloon Boy like he fucking deserves. And it reveals that, you know, the Wizards are coming. And, oh, wait, actually, hold on. There's this really stupid joke that we felt funny where Toy Chica after Abby lets them free, Toy Chica is pretending to be Abby's BFF, number one BFF. And she's at the robotics club, the science fair for her school. And she wins, and there's a scene where, like, we see through Toy Chica's eyes, and she's scanning the room for any adults, and then there's a flash on her screen that says security breach. And that's what woke up the withered animatronics. And we were like, God damn it. Oh yeah, by the way, Toy Chica killed the dickhead teacher. And there's this whole thing where they're trying to kill them by, like, squishing their head. By, like, squishing their heads. Unfortunately, Toy Chica did not do it with her thighs, if you know what I mean, but, you know, yeah. And, yeah, one of my friends said this on, like, their review of the movie. But, yeah, there's still, like, PG-13, you know, they don't show the kills, but the implied gore is way better. Like, you know, there's more blood that's being shown and stuff. It's not just, like, you know, seen in shadows or whatever, but, yeah. Also, there's a lot more, like, horror segments, I think. But, I mean, nothing scared me. Unlike the last movie, where I will admit, I got a little tensed. But that's because I was a little baby bitch back then. And, yeah. Back to what I was saying. So, the segment of gameplay with Mike in the office. Yeah, there's this scene of, like, how am I supposed to stop them without closing the doors? And then he looks over and sees the empty Freddy head. And he's like, there's no way this will work, right? He literally says that. And he puts it on, and then we get a scene of Freddy walking in, and then recognizing, oh, it's the animatronic. Which, by the way, we all always thought, me and also my friends pointed this out, but I think that's just, like, kind of dumb how it worked in the original game. Like, Freddy sees Freddy. Like, what? A little bit of a side note related to that. For the week at Hunts, I know, trust me. I'm working on the remaster, don't worry. But, I said that I had the second game planned out, and it would be in, like, a similar vein of, oh, there's robots now. There's new robots now. Well, the mechanic of that was that you also had the mask, but Robot Hunter, he wouldn't be fooled by his own face. That was what I was thinking for his mechanic, but yeah. Anyway, so Mike successfully disconnects, like, the wireless connection that the marionette has to the toy animatronics, which is what allows them to roam free. So they stopped them from killing any of the parents that they were hunting after. And by the way, the scenes of which they're, like, entering their homes, Toy Freddy, he enters in one of the parents' homes. It's just like a wife and husband. They're, like, cleaning up or whatever because it's the middle of the night. And then we get a scene of where the wife walks through her living room and the camera pans over. And then fucking Toy Freddy is just standing in the living room. Like, it's a dark room. There's no lights on. But it's like he's just standing right there, literally like, huh, must have been the wind. And unsurprisingly, they get jumped, but they don't die. Also, the entire scene where Mangle was on top of Vanessa's car, like, I gotta admit, that was pretty fucking cool. And another scene with Vanessa, it happens much earlier when she's getting visions of daddy issues. But she's in, like, a biking club, and, you know, she's hallucinating about Will, and she goes to like her locker or something, and like someone's right next to her, and she, like, you know, tries to tap her on the shoulder to get her attention, but to the camera and to her, it looks like it's William Afton in the Springlock suit, you know. And so she turns around and then whips out her fucking gun on some random guy. And then the random guy is like, Vanessa, please. He says it like it's a normal goddamn occurrence. Like, are you kidding me? It's just a normal thing, I guess. Anyway. So here's the thing. With all the toy animatronics, they're now disabled, right? But the marionette is free. Charlotte is free. So they actually go to Mike's house, and for some reason, the marionette was just hiding inside of Toy Chica's body. And so there's this really stupid scene where Toy Chica's at Mike's house. She sets Abby down on the bed. Abby turns over to see while Toy Chica's like shutting down. And then from inside of her chest, it just like cracks open, and then fucking the marionette is just right there. And there were spring locks inside of it for some reason. But yeah, and then she possesses Abby temporarily. And Vanessa gets there before Mike, but yeah. Vanessa gets in there, almost gets got by Abby, but Mike shows up, and earlier when he was talking to Henry, he gave him a music box that helped calm Charlotte down. And so he gets into the house, he plays it, and then the marionette gets off of Abby and like their tentacles slither away. But the toy animatronics, they've come back to life and they've all rerouted to Mike's house. They're closing in. But then somebody comes in, and no, unfortunately, it was not Markiplier, and it's unfortunate that he did not get a reference in the movie. As one of my friends said, come on, they could have dropped a reference to a marker and some pliers, or something like that. But no, it's not Markiplier. It's Mike, the other Mike. He says, "I'm Michael Afton, and I'm here to carry on my father's legacy." He said some shit like that, which all had us giggling, like, damn it. Speaking of giggling, every time Toy Chica was on screen, I could not take it seriously. Because, I mean, come on, it's Toy Chica. And also, in the similar vein, Toy Bonnie. Toy Chica talks a lot. Toy Freddy had like 1 or 2 lines, but I thought his voice was pretty good. Toy Bonnie, though, which my friends told me was voiced by MatPat, apparently? I had a feeling they were saving his voice for last. And Toy Bonnie had an absolute femboy voice. There was 0 testosterone in that voice box, bro. At the end of the movie, when we were walking out, we were talking about how, they were voiced by, MatPat, allegedly. And one of my friends goes, yeah, with 3 tons of estrogen. I left off at the scene where, Michael Afton reveals himself, and he's talking to Vanessa like, in the same way as how Dream William was talking to Vanessa during like the nightmare sequence of her trying to cope, of her trying to, doing the same thing that Mike did in the first movie where he kept imagining about, like, dreaming about the day that Garrett got kidnapped. But yeah, he's like to Vanessa, you are his child. You have a purpose. And she's like, no, fuck you. And then walks away. And then he's like, okay, fine, fuck you then. And then he tells the toy animatronics, crush them, crush their bones. I think he literally says that, and it's like, okay, bro. But, you see, Mike had a secret trick up his sleeve. Before he got back to his house, he went to the first location, and he desperately called out to the animatronics of the first game. Because they're Abby's friends. And they come back, and they fucking destroy, they easy no-diff the toy animatronics. It was a pretty cool scene. And one of my friends actually predicted that. They thought that would happen, but they thought it would happen with the Wizards. And during that scene, they were thinking about that one Minecraft animation, the Survive the Night animation from like a while back. They were thinking of that. And I mean, I have to say, that's pretty funny. But yeah, and yeah, days saved, Mike goes fucks himself, and he gets mean right hooked by Mike's friend who's established earlier, who calls Vanessa crazy. The kid of Golden Freddy is there. He's not in costume, unfortunately, but yeah. He's there, and all of the first animatronics, they're powering down. And he says to Mike, like, you know, we can't stay in these bodies anymore. It's time that we move on. And it's like, yeah. But then he reveals, because we're moving on, I can't hold him back anymore. And they're talking about, you know, they're talking about William Afton, who has now become Springtrap. So yeah, and at the end of the movie, Mike tells Vanessa to stay away from us because you are danger, which I think is fair, because, like, not only is your father a crazy fucking psychopath, but it's revealed that your brother is also a crazy fucking psychopath. So, yeah. It ends with her just standing out in, like, the front door open. But then Charlotte comes back because she's still in the house, I guess. And then Vanessa lets herself get possessed by Charlotte. And the movie ends there. Oh yeah, mid-credit scene, by the way. Mid-credit scene. We cut back to the first location, the FNAF 1 location of the movie. And there's 3, like, teenagers there, and it's clearly setting up for FNAF 3 because they're in there to take what we can find. Because they're setting up for a horror attraction, like in FNAF 3, how it's Fazbear Frights. And then one of the guys, like, off camera goes, hey guys, I found something in the back. And then they all go over there. And he's like, I found one, a real one. And every time the movie quotes something from the game, it's just kind of funny. But yeah, it's clearly supposed to be Springtrap, and we see a reveal Springtrap, and yeah. And then an end of credits thing, like at the end of the credits. It's not a scene, but it's like how in the first movie at the very end there was those letters being spoken. But in this one, it's a tape by Henry, and it's just some random shit of, like, you know, Mike, Charlotte's back, you know, whatever. Yeah, I guess that's it. Me and my friends, we thought it was better than the first one because the story was a little bit better. There was actual threats and a little bit of gameplay segments, and the animatronics looked pretty cool, and the horror segments were pretty cool. All that, you know, whatever. Yeah, Absolute Cinema, we were just screaming when Mike laughed and came on the screen. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. During that segment that I mentioned earlier with Vanessa, like, dreaming about William Afton, Baby is revealed. Circus Baby is revealed, and we're not really sure on how that's gonna fit in. Like, okay, the next movie's obviously gonna be FNAF 3. We think it's gonna be FNAF 3 and FNAF 6, and I guess maybe that would also imply FNAF 5, maybe, because, you know, with Circus Baby and all that. We don't know. But yeah, the continuity of the movies is kind of weird, because, like, wasn't there that one Springlock suit that looked like Baby in the first one, or it looked like that one from the books or whatever the fuck? I think so. But, yeah, okay. That's all I have to say. Got a Clash Royale video coming up soon. And yeah, if you want to see that, want to see more, subscribe, and yeah, see ya.